Hi.
How was your day?
Cruddy.
Are you hungry?
No.
You want to come in the kitchen and eat with me tonight?
No, I don't. I don't feel like it. I'm tired of having to do something all the time.
Well, it wouldn't kill you to come in there and eat dinner
give
with
me
me.
a break. I'm tired of you trying to tell me what I'm supposed to do all the time when I'm trying to just take a break and get some rest.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, frequently referred to as PTSD, is an unpleasant fact of life for far too many veterans and their families. Many people, not just veterans, can suffer from PTSD. Victims of rape, kidnapping, accidents, natural disasters, or other acts of violence or emotional trauma. Veterans do, however, make up a special group of people with post-traumatic stress disorder. So the Veterans Administration has developed programs to treat veterans with this disorder and to assist the veterans' families in dealing with it.
We have had a great amount of success in treating PTSD here at the Veterans Administration, and we are eager to help veterans and their families who are struggling to cope with post-traumatic stress disorder. We believe that veterans and their families can benefit from PTSD treatment programs, and our goal is to provide you with information about what PTSD is really all about and what you and your family can do in order to take better care of yourselves. Let's start by talking about what post-traumatic stress disorder is really all about. First of all, you must have experienced a real or perceived threat to you or to someone close to you. And usually, this event leaves you feeling fearful, absolutely horrified, helpless, and totally overwhelmed. Not all people react to these events in the same way. And to tell you the truth, we do not know why one person develops PTSD and another does not. What we do know is that people with post-traumatic stress disorder display certain common behaviors, and these behaviors tend to fall into four broad categories. These are physical, mental, emotional, and behavioral reaction. Examples of physical reactions include nervousness, jitters, muscle tension, upset stomach, rapid heart rate, dizziness, and lack of energy, fatigue, and a symptom that arises when you're asleep, known as teeth grinding. Examples of mental reactions include changes in the way you think about yourself and about the world in which you live and about other people. Other reactions include watchfulness, increased alertness, and a constant state of being on guard. In addition, it includes feelings of not belonging, difficulty concentrating, poor attention, or memory problems, difficulty making decisions, disturbing images of the traumatic event. However, with proper treatment, these reactions can be reduced and, in some cases, eliminated altogether. Let me add a few words of caution here. Whenever a person thinks of suicide, threatens suicide, or acts violently towards others, they must seek professional help immediately. Having post-traumatic stress disorder is never an excuse for violence, whether toward oneself, loved ones, or others.
Even in ancient times, commanders recognized emotional exhaustion in troops, pulled exhausted men from battle lines, and treated battle-shocked soldiers.
Inability to trust is a common problem. Trust and safety go hand in hand. A person cannot feel safe without feeling trust. Trust in one's own skills, one's own ability. Trust in others stemming from the belief that others aren't out to hurt them and that others will be there when they need them. Trauma can produce a real or perceived sense of abandonment and betrayal. Therefore, it can only take one traumatic event to shatter a person's safety and trust. Communication is another problem that is very common among veterans with PTSD. Self-disclosure, being able to communicate your own thoughts and feelings, diminishes with PTSD. When a person is unable to disclose how they think and what they feel, they tend to begin to use defensive ways to communicate with others. The spouse then reacts to the veteran's increased hostility and decreased self-disclosure defensively and with apprehension and even fear. She begins to feel like she's walking on eggshells. Over time, the veteran and spouse can come to feel unloved, unappreciated, and devalued. Each will blame the other and find themselves unable to break the destructive communication pattern between them. The inability to display affection is also another common problem with veterans who have PTSD. Veterans can find physical contact very uncomfortable, especially if they've been wounded, tortured, or physically assaulted. For the veteran, intimacy can be too threatening or viewed as too risky. The pain of loss outweighs the pleasure of closeness. The veteran may lose interest in sex completely. In addition to PTSD, medications may interfere with sexual performance. Also, medical problems or physical problems may interfere or diminish sexual functioning. Over time, not knowing why the veteran doesn't perform sexually, the spouse may begin to blame herself for his lack of performance. When a veteran no longer feels safe around others, he begins to withdraw from social activities. By withdrawing from social activities, he feels protected and actually believes he is protecting others. He may feel fearful of being hurt, embarrassed, or fearful of losing control. As a result, often spouses and family members either find themselves prisoners in their own home, not going anywhere because the veteran refuses to venture out of the home, or spouses and family members find themselves participating in social activities repeatedly without the veteran. Sometimes the PTSD symptoms are so severe that it renders the veteran unable to work. The spouse may have to become the sole income provider, in addition to managing and maintaining the home and child rearing. The spouse may become overwhelmed with the additional employment, household, and caretaking responsibilities. Family members of veterans with PTSD can also be affected by something called secondary traumatization. Secondary traumatization is a condition in which the person begins to experience PTSD-like symptoms as a result of living with a traumatized person. Simply put, secondary traumatization is the result of a person being traumatized by somebody who's already been traumatized. Left alone, people who are supportive, loving spouses can become bitter, defensive, and hostile. Children can respond by becoming the veteran's closest companion, by taking on a parenting role with the veteran, by becoming totally uninvolved in the family, or lastly, by remaining unaffected. What seems to be true for veterans with PTSD is that they tend to recover better when their families view PTSD as a family problem and not just an affliction suffered by the veteran. I want to be perfectly clear that veterans who have PTSD don't necessarily have a negative impact on other family members. But for those families that are experiencing some difficulties as a result of the veteran's PTSD, we find that treatment and intervention can have a very positive impact. When the veteran's spouse and family members learn to recognize that PTSD symptoms are the problem and not the veteran, then self-blame is replaced by hope and optimism. I firmly believe that veterans, spouses, and family members can recover and heal from the suffering of PTSD.
I got this pamphlet. It said help is available. It doesn't have to be this way.
Help is available. A diagnosis of PTSD does not mean that life cannot be enjoyed. However, it will take time and commitment from everyone in the family. Today, mental health professionals have a variety of ways in treating the real and painful symptoms associated with PTSD. While it is likely that you and your spouse will not find a quick fix, The treatment options available can improve the management of PTSD symptoms and increase the chances for improved family communication. There are many treatment options now available for veterans and families suffering from the effects of PTSD. If you feel that a loved one is suffering from PTSD, it is important that he or she find a mental health professional who can accurately diagnose the condition and who has a good understanding of PTSD, its symptoms, and the effects PTSD can have on the individual and the family. Many VA hospitals have specialized programs to treat veterans with the long-term effects of PTSD. Some programs require the veteran to remain in the hospital to participate in his or her PTSD programs. Other programs are based solely on an outpatient basis. In addition, many VA hospitals have clinics